Hello, welcome to my dungeon guide. I'm King Blacktooth, and this one is for the Crucible of Eternity. It's in Mount Maelstrom, and you need to be level capped at 80 for this, and difficulty probably about 8 out of 10. You could have more difficulty, but I find this dungeon one of my favourites. It's definitely one of my favourites. All the bosses have good strategies, and interesting strategies. So the first thing, as usual, is preparations. Anyone in your party will do, and balance is always recommended. This dungeon has an emphasis on strategy. All the bosses have quite heavy strategy, and going blind is going to cause you a lot of pain in deaths, because you will die a lot if you go blind, I imagine. It's good to have someone at least who knows what they're doing. You will fight subject alpha a lot, 3 times per route, so 9 in total if you do all 3 routes. So he will pop up a lot, and he's quite a difficult one if you don't know what you're doing. Different bosses and encounters require different skills, so switch up your skills based on the role you're playing and the bosses you're encountering. CC and AoE is always useful. So additional notes being it takes about 1 hour to complete, depending on how much difficulty you have. That's each route. Each route takes about 1 hour. And food is a nice little extra, but not necessary. Now as for routes, you have 3 to choose from as usual. You have the submarine route, teleporter and front door route, and they're all about intermediate. They've all got easy areas and complicated areas, so I range them all about the same. Now in this dungeon, trash mobs are not generally very important for me to note out, so I'll just say a general rule of thumb, which is take down the weaker ones first, CC, and then take down the harder ones afterwards. But you will encounter destroyers, which you shouldn't underestimate. They're kind of the same as normal mobs, but they only appear in one section, but they are quite powerful, and you must watch out for the passive AoE that gets placed around. Now the first boss I'm going to talk about is Subject Alpha, and a lot of people have trouble with him, and I think it's because of his AoE variations and people don't quite understand it. So let's go over them now. To begin with, he's got a single red ring, and if you see a single red ring, that's just a fire AoE, and it's easy to get out of. You just strafe out of it. It's very simple. Now his second AoE is an icicle blast. Now what you'll see is a small AoE circle with nothing in the centre, and a large AoE circle around it. Now if you see this, you want to run to the outer ring or beyond. So what happens is you get a gradual icy centre appear, and then the icicle blasts in the middle. Okay, so 2 rings with nothing in the centre. Run to the outer ring or beyond. The third one is a spike circle. Now this is 2 AoE rings again, but you'll have ice in the middle immediately. Now in this case you don't move. So if you see a single red ring, run out. If you see 2, analyse whether it's got ice in the middle immediately. If it has, don't move. If it hasn't, it will gradually have ice, in which case you should run or dodge out the way. Alternatively, you can time your dodge to dodge through any of these, because sometimes they will overlap, so it's safer to just dodge out. And on a side note, some AoEs don't appear in certain routes, so I'll tell you more about that on the specific routes. So let's play a little game. I'm going to show you some footage, and we're going to go through which AoE version it is. Okay, so to begin with, it's just a single red ring. They're overlapping, but they're still a single red ring, and immediate ice, so I don't move. Fire again. Okay, immediate ice on her, gradual ice on me. I should have moved for that. Okay, back in the action. I have a single red ring, that's fire. I don't get any here, but the person above me has gradual ice. She should move for that. Okay, I have a single red ring, that's fire again. 2 red rings with instant ice, that's don't move. Instant ice, don't move. That's my ice, so that's scary. And this one's gradual ice, so I should move here, but I did not. Okay, so hopefully you're getting the rhythm of these. You can kind of tell. Hopefully you're telling what they are before I actually say. Okay, these are overlapping, so I'm going to dodge. Okay, that one's fire again. Gradual ice, get out of there to the outer ring. Fire again. Gradual ice. And gradual ice again. So hopefully these have given you a clue on the basic premises of his AoE variations. But he does have more stuff, and that is that he does an AoE rock cone, which is a AoE which gets progressively bigger. You need to dodge this. It's easier to dodge if you're closer, and if you're further away, if he targets you or he's looking at you when he's doing, say, Dragon's Tooth or another AoE, then prepare for that if he's doing it on that particular route. Other things that he does on all routes is summon undead tendrils. These are quite weak and do AoE swipes, so just avoid them, they're pretty easy to avoid, and kill when they start to annoy you at your convenience. And the next thing is an imprisonment crystal. This imprisons the player and it becomes immune to the AoE circles, but not against the rock cone or being hit by any other melee attacks. And you can't break this yourself, and it causes damage over time to the prisoner. Your group must focus this as fast as possible. Okay, so that's the overview of Subject Alpha, and as I've said, he does different things on different routes, so when we get to that particular route, I will comment on the things that he does and does not do on that particular route. The first time you fight Subject Alpha is not route specific, so you want to get really close in melee range, everyone, and get rid of any ranged pets so that you're all on top of him and don't move from that position. Wherever he goes, follow in melee range. The reason for this being is that he doesn't do his Dragon's Tooth AoE or the Earth Cone AoE if you're in melee range, and since the beginning he doesn't do the Ice or the Earth Spike one, so get as close as you can to make it a lot easier for yourself. So the next event you come to is Laser Defense. There are 5 golems you have to defeat, which are all different. Now there is a waypoint in this particular area, so it makes it incredibly easy even if you do die. Now the golems types appear in random position. Anyone can be in any position here. Now there's 5 different types of golems. You've got the Mark J Assault, which does a delayed blast. You've got the Mark XXX Juggernaut, which does protection and retaliation to him and his allies. You've got the Mark P Support, which does fire shields to him and his allies. Mark K Assault, which stuns, and Mark K Battle, which knockdown and vulnerability. Now the rough guidelines I'd suggest is Mark P Support, and then K Assault, K Battle, J Assault, XXX Juggernaut. But this is just a rough guideline. You can pretty much take any of them down at any way you want. I recommend the Support and then the Assaults, and leave the Juggernaut till last. Okay, so to begin with, we're analysing which ones are where. We're going after the J Assault on this particular run, and this is obviously before I did the guide, so it's up to you which one you go for. It doesn't really matter. I got hit by this laser beam, which is a very big pain from one of the other assault golems. So we got rid of one. Now we're going for the Juggernaut, which I recommend you should leave for last, but we chose to go for it because of the protection. Again, I got that laser beam. That laser beam freezes you and does damage. You can't break it, and it seems to kill me one hit from full health. It's crazy. From that assault one, I'd recommend going for that assault one, which I think is the Mark K. I'll have a look. Yeah, Mark K Assault. It's crazy. I recommend going for that one after you've done the Support Fire Shield one. Okay, but even if you do die, it's pretty simple. You've got a waypoint in the area, so you just got to work. Oh, that's so annoying. So you've just got to work, whittle them down. So we've got this one nearly down. Now after you've got them all killed, you'll have to do this little bit of a jumping puzzle. Now when the lasers come here and stay here, you need to get in the middle, because some lasers will appear behind you and start determining your speed that you have to jump past all these lasers. If you touch them, you die instantly, so it's very painful. But you need to get 3 people over the other side, so you can each pull these, well, not pull, they're not levers, they're control panels. You need to activate the control panels together. Okay, and the next boss you'll fight on all routes is Mark T-B34RC3. I wonder how many times I tried to say that. Now, he's pretty simple boss. He stands in the centre all the time, and he's got 4 turrets. A retaliation, a protection, a cleansing, and a regeneration. You can kind of assume what they do. Now, I recommend focus on the retaliation and the boss. Killing the others is fine too, and they respawn after a short period of time. So you only need to kill like 1. And as for the Mark T-B34RC3, he throws an electricity AoE stun barrier to ranged, which you can avoid or remain within, it's up to you. But the next move he's got is a melee knockdown. But he also has a shooting knockdown, which you should strafe to avoid. and he also creates firewalls. It sounds complicated, but really none of this really matters. It's a very simple fight. It's not very chaotic at all. Okay, so we've already started to engage him here, and as you can see, he tried to get me one of those stun barriers, and I'm going for the retaliation turret. Now I've heard elsewhere that other people say you should just go for the protection turret, that's it, which it's up to you. None of them really do that much in terms of differing the fight, but I guess the protection turret would help the boss die faster. We went for the safer route and get rid of the retaliation. We didn't know how damaging it would be at the time. So it's up to you whether you want to go protection to get the boss down quicker or retaliation to make it a bit more safer, because it doesn't take very long to take down anyway. Okay, so I'm standing on the side here, always killing this retaliation when it pops up and then back onto the boss, and other people help me. So generally it's quite a simple fight. I always try and do a bit of damage to the other ones if you can help it with your AoE, area of effect. And apart from that, it's generally quite easy. He does a melee spin, which you may notice. Only melee need to worry about that, of course. He seems to be stunning the melee people as well here, but they don't move, they don't cross it, so it doesn't hurt them. He hasn't shot any of these ranged knockdown things to me, so I've not had to move pretty much the entire fight. But he's nearly dead now. I think he's got a quarter left. So he's doing some of those fire lines, as you can see, firewalls, but no one's really doing much to avoid them, because you just got to move out of the way. If they touch you, it's not too bad. Okay, and that's pretty much it. After you kill this boss, you will have to pick your route. So now I'll be going into the specifics of the routes. On Route 1, the submarine route, your first event will be to disable the alarm. Now on this fight you'll have mini golems constantly bombarding you for the entire fight. Now what these do is prime for explosion when they get close to a player, and exploding about 3 to 5 seconds later. Now these have really weak health, so they're easily killable and avoidable because you get 3 to 5 seconds to move. But they generally just make the whole place chaotic because you have to constantly stay on the move. And that's kind of counterintuitive to the next thing that you actually have to do to win the event. Now there's a console in the middle, and this console must be used 5 times to complete the event. Every time you use the console it takes 20 seconds to complete, so that's where it becomes a problem. You have to keep these golems off you for 20 seconds. Now one player should be nominated the user of the console, and that person should change his or her skills to prevent interruption. As an elementalist I used Mist Form and Arcane Shield to prevent interruption, but you have to make sure that you can press it without cancelling the console usage. Now whilst the nominated user is using the console, the other players should protect him from the mini golems. Several ways to do this are to stand away from the console and stealth the user, to AoE round the console to kill them quickly before they have a chance to explode, or to intercept the mini golems so they explode before they get anywhere near the person using the console. Now after you've used the console once, you will get 3 large golems appear. Now you should focus on one and kill all 3 before attempting another use. And after you've killed all 3, you'll have enough time to sort of prepare, but then you should use the console again and then repeat the thing 5 times is how many times you need to use the console. Okay? Okay, so in this particular instance I am the designated user. So this is the console, and I begin using it and they stealth me straight away. I get ready to press some of these skills I've got down here if any golems look like they're about to explode. Okay, they look like they're about to explode, so I prop my Mist Form. And now we've used the console, so now we've got 3 big golems to worry about. So we try and focus on one. All the little ones, don't bother with them. You just got to keep moving. If they give you a blast radius, it's really quite easy to avoid. So just focus on one big golem and then take the other 2 down afterwards, and then back on the console. Now this gameplay is sped up twice as fast, so I will only be on the console for 10 seconds, but the golems move twice as fast, of course. Okay, so it looks like we've got 2 golems down and just this last one left. My cooldown seemed to have come off cooldown, and now it's back to the console again. I use it, and everyone's stealthing me straight away. If you stealth the user, you obviously want to move away from the console so all the golems are drawn to you instead. And it's taking ages. That one looks like it might go off, so I use my mist form. 3 more golems, and they all come from me. That's nice. You can use the mini golems to obviously rally, because they've got pretty weak health. So the large golems you're encountering here are the same types, variations, as you fought during the laser defense area. So I'd recommend kind of going for the same thing, although it doesn't quite matter, just make sure you focus one down. Go for the assault and battle ones first, and then go for the support and the juggernauts afterwards. You want to constantly stay on the move. Doing so makes it a lot easier to avoid all the golems, of course. Yeah, it's not looking very likely that if you die you'll get a res at all, so you should just respawn. Makes sense, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Okay, we've nearly got this battle golem dead, and then it's back on the thing for me. I'm waiting a bit until my party's ready and there's no golems in sight. There we go, and now I start it again. Okay, and the next thing you'll fight is Subject Alpha, and you also have to fight him at the end of the instance, but I'm lumping him together because at the end of the instance he just uses imprisonment crystals a lot more frequently, so I'm lumping them together. Now the skills he does not use on this particular route is the Earth Spike AoE, the immediate ice, and the Ice Spike AoE, which is the gradual ice. So he only uses the Fire AoE, the Earth Cone AoE, imprisonment crystals, undead tendrils, and undead risen adds. It sounds like a lot, but it's really not that much. The strategy for Route 1 on all versions of Subject Alpha is to stick as close as you can to him in melee range and remove all non-melee pets, including mesmer phantasms and such. Okay, I'm a bit late to the party here, so I stay at range until I get a Dragon's Tooth AoE, and then I run in. And now it's about staying as close as you can, because he doesn't do the Dragon's Tooth AoE if you're close. Okay, and it makes it easier to destroy those imprisonment crystals, destroy the risen adds, to revive allies. So everything's just a lot easier if you stay all clumped together in one big clump around him. And he also doesn't seem to use that AoE Earth Cone if you're close as well. There was a Dragon Tooth there, that's probably because of a pet of some sort. You shouldn't use any form of ranged pet. To be safe, don't do any pet. There is an NPC back there which is getting hit, but she should die soon, which wouldn't be too bad. So again, imprisonment crystals, destroy it as fast as possible, which isn't too hard considering everyone's AoEing the boss and such. Now the thing you've got to do is not roll back, because that's just going to make it worse. You should die where you are so everyone can pick you up. So the next boss you'll fight is Bajal the Rampager. Now the first notable thing about him is he's invincible. You can't damage him usually. Okay? Now the way you get around this is he charges a random player. Now your aim is to get him to charge into one of these columns spaced around the centre. Okay? At which point he will charge into it, fall on the floor, and be susceptible to damage. Now the way you achieve this is to stand to the side or in front of the pillar and just dodge his charge. Now you want to keep line of sight, otherwise he'll just run around to find you, and his hitbox does seem quite lenient. The way I like to do it is to stand to the side, because if he tries to charge you, his hitbox is bigger than yours, so even though he looks like he would get you, it in fact counts him as hitting the column, in which case he'll fall back and be susceptible to damage. And the only other thing he's got is gradual ice AoE, so that's easily avoidable, and you can do that for me. Okay, so this is how we first started, and this is the wrong idea. You don't stand behind the pillar like that, because he just ran round to get me, and that's quite dangerous. And there's some examples of the gradual ice which you have to avoid. Now I'm going to skip forward a bit because it took us a while to get used to the idea, so I'll just show you the good areas now. Or the bit where we'd kind of figured it out a bit better. Okay, so running that back to a pillar here to avoid that AoE. Okay, there we go. I'm standing to the side of the pillar, as you can see. So I'm trying to keep line of sight. He's following that person there. Okay, so he's chasing this person like crazy. but he's banged into the wall, which is good. And now, see that person there, that rifleman, I think it's a thief. He's got the right place to stand. You want to stand where that person is, and me. Is you just stand to the side, because it looks like he can reach you, but when he charges, his hitbox is bigger than yours, so it'll count as he hits the column, in which case you can damage it. And it's just a matter of doing that, I don't know, 20 times or something. I'm not sure how many times, depends how much damage you do when he's down, I suppose, but it's quite fun. I enjoyed it. Alternatively, you can stand in front of the column, of course, and when he's charging at you, dodge out the way. It's up to you. Doesn't matter if you're standing in the same place or whether you're spread out. Now, it looked like a bit of a weird angle. You want to try and get a little bit of an angle on it, so I changed sides now a bit. So he'll charge at us again, and this time he's bounced off a bit, so I'm actually going to change sides to get a better angle on the column. And after this fight, you'll have to fight Subject Alpha for a third and final time, but it's pretty simple. Just run really close to him and stay in melee, and that's it. You've done Route 1. So on Route 2, the teleporter, your first event will be to defend a cannon while it's charging to 100%. Now, the cannon charges by itself, and when it gets to 100%, the event is won. Now, in this event, you also have mini golems around, and they'll be bombarding you for the entire fight. Again, they'll prime for explosion when they're close to a player and explode 3 to 5 seconds later. You can kill them and avoid them pretty easily. You want to kill them or intercept them so they blow up before they get to the cannon. You'll also get large golems appearing, and these types are the same as in the laser defense area. You want to focus on one, CC them, and generally just waste time with these whilst you're protecting the cannon from all the other things. Okay, so there's the cannon, and now we're starting to get loads of mini golems, which we just start destroying. Don't forget you can intercept them. Running up to them makes them prime for explosion, so you should all sort of run away from the cannon a bit. And now we're starting to get some big ones, and we've got one of those again with the beams. They're really annoying to me. You can't do anything against that beam as far as I'm aware, so focus that one down as soon as you can. Now, this whole event, defending the cannon, you also have to do as the first thing on Route 3. So when it comes to that part in the video, hopefully you'll just watch this part in the video. Okay? So I won't be going over this again for Route 3, even though that's the same thing. So what's the percentage? 96. So it goes up relatively fast. Very fast indeed. So after you've destroyed the door with the cannon, you'll get some Risen coming through. You'll get 2 Risen Defilers and 1 Abomination. Now you want to take care of the Defilers first, while hopefully kiting the Abomination, because he's quite difficult. Now it's basically all about the champion Risen Abomination. Now when he hits people, he stacks Frenzy, which means he gets faster and he travels faster and he hits harder. So you want to dodge, don't feed him Frenzy if you can. CC doesn't seem to work on him. He's unstoppable. That's probably that element. So you really just need to dodge, kite him around. He's got 17 stacks at the minute. It does go down if he doesn't attack for a while. So the worse you do, the harder he gets. Look how fast he's moving now. That's crazy. 20 stacks. Wow. He's starting to go down now though. But it's just about not feeding him stacks of Frenzy whilst you're killing the Defilers. And now we're starting to get it down a bit. So now we've got him down to a respectable 11. I don't know if that's respectable, but we're keeping him a bit more under control now, so it's not so difficult. And then when you start heading up the stairs, you'll get tons and tons of Risen Asura popping up to charge you, and you just need to AoE these down. These are normal enemies, so CC them and AoE them down. These big ones just explode when they get near people, so I don't know, make that happen by walking close or something. And apart from that, you should be able to handle it. It's pretty fun. I like massive AoE death. Okay, and the next boss on Route 2 is Subject Alpha, and again, you fight him at the end, but I'm lumping him together because at the end he just has more use of imprisonment crystals. So this route's Subject Alpha does not use Earth Spike Cone AoE. So what he does use is the Fire AoE, the Earth Spike AoE, the immediate ice, and the ice spike AoE, which is the gradual ice. Imprisonment crystals and undead tendrils. He doesn't use risen undead. Now the strategy here is to do the AoE dance that I taught you in the general overview. Spreading out helps to avoid overlapping with the AoE, and alternatively you can stick together and move out of the fire AoE and dodge the earth and ice AoE as a team, because he does give you enough time to manage your dodging if you accurately time it. Okay, you do get enough endurance to manage to dodge repeatedly. But I'm not going to show this boss because I've already showed you everything that he does, so there's no point me showing you more. Okay, and the next boss is an evolved husk. Now this boss involves mini golems again. They spawn in and chase players. They prime when they get near a player, and they explode 3 to 5 seconds later. Now what you need to do is put them or golf swing them into the boss. Now the way you do this is by picking up a subversion rifle, which are dotted about. There's several of them. I think they generally spawn in as well. Skill 1 gains the aggro of the mini golems, and you want to use it to pull them nearish to the boss. So then when they get primed on the floor, when they're near the boss, you have to move around them and use skill 2 to put them into the boss. You've got to make sure to face them the right way, so you button them the right way. Now the boss itself, it puts up a lot of razor thorn patches, which you need to destroy when they start to become too many. And the boss's platform is often covered with undestroyable razor thorn, which does damage to you. So just don't go on the platform, or if you do, make a quick traversable over to the other area. Don't stand around on there. And the boss summons root AoE, which is really easy to avoid. This is not rooting to keep you on the spot, but it's made of roots. And there might be some blossoms around, so be careful about that. My recommendation is to split your party up into gardeners and golfers, which is basically gardeners clearing out all the razor thorns, and the golfers is picking up the rifles and getting the mini golems into the boss. You can switch roles when you feel necessary, when there's not enough gardening to be done, or when there's not enough golfing to be done. Okay, so at the minute I'm taking the role of gardener, destroying all these razor thorn patches. So I pick up a rifle and try and change my role. I try to butt him into the boss. I don't think he's quite reached, so then I switch back to razor thorn patches because a lot more have appeared that I didn't quite realise. They're pretty weak. You can destroy them quite easily. Now we didn't quite get the hang of it for a while. It requires a little bit of teamwork. So we've kind of got used to it now. Here I managed to pick up a rifle and I put him right into the boss, which really makes me feel happy. Now this is normal speed. That's really weird. It looked really slow, but it wasn't. It was just normal speed. Okay, so now I go back into gardener mode and revive my ally mode, which is really difficult to do when there's loads of mini golems about. That's what I use my revival trinkets for. Okay, back onto gardener. Those razor thorn patches damage you when you walk into them. Okay, I've got a good golem. Okay, he's way too far away. Laser beam is skill 1 on the rifle, which you want to use to sort of gain aggro, so and then go near the boss so that they get primed near it, so you can bat them in. Okay, here we go. Bam, good. Yay! I like golfing. So that's why I like this dungeon as a whole. It's got interesting boss mechanics, and I like it. Now it looks kind of chaotic because I'm looking around all the time. I'm basically just looking for razor thorns, see how many there are, whether to go on gardening duty or go on to golfing duty. But I stick to gardening. I like to do it occasionally, but I let people that think they're better at it do the job. Okay, I've gone back into gardening. Okay, ran off to someone else. But he primed near the boss, so that's fine. That player was a guardian, I think, and he walked across the boss's razor thorn patch, which probably didn't do too much damage, but it made the golem prime near the boss, so that was good enough. And so you still got to fight Subject Alpha, but it's the same as previously stated. And then that's Route 2 complete. on Route 3, the front door, your first event will be to defend the cannon again. And I've already gone over this, so if you want to find out this particular fight, it's in the beginning of the second route. But I'm going to go straight on to the next thing, which is Subject Alpha. Now, Subject Alpha again, you fight him here and at the end of the route, but I'm lumping them together because he just uses more imprisonment crystals at the end. Now, on this route, he does not use his fire AoE. So what he does use is his Earth Spike AoE, which is the immediate ice. He does use his Ice Spike AoE, which is the gradual ice, the Earth Spike Cone AoE, and the imprisonment crystals and undead tendrils. Now the strategy is to do the AoE dance again, spread apart to avoid overlap. If he's facing you during an AoE Earth or Ice Spike, immediate ice or gradual ice, then that means he's going to do an Earth Spike Cone AoE towards you, so you want to dodge for that. So if he's facing towards you when another AoE comes, it means he's probably going to do the Earth Spike, so dodge. Alternatively, you can stick close together in melee range without ranged pets, because that means he won't do his Earth Spike Cone AoE. But the main thing you're going to have to do here, if you choose to do this option, is to dodge with a timely fashion all AoE circles together as a group, because you have to time your roll, otherwise you'll still get caught. So if you can time your rolls together as a group, then you can stay close in melee range. Okay, I chose to go over here because I'm on my own, and I'm going to do the AoE dance is my thing. Okay, I had to dodge that one because that player came near me, and I'm just standing still for most of these. He summons these little oozes, but they don't do much. I think he stuns if you kill one near him, but really it doesn't make a difference. So I'm doing quite well on this the AoE dance, I find. Quite happy with the way I'm performing. Oh, I failed that one, and then I got blasted. It didn't kill me though, but that did, which is a shame. Even though I'm down, I got killed there. I'm going to try and use this tendril to come back to life. Need to save my teammate here. Okay, that's good. Okay, I want to go back into that area. So, but I need to kill that undead tendril, but I got imprisoned. And now I'm dead. Okay, that was poorly timed. You can't do much about that. Okay, imprisoned again, which is not good. He hit me with his AoE cone thing there. You're not invulnerable to that when you're in the imprisonment crystal. Okay, I'm going to run off to gain some thing. I'd say elementalists have one of the better skills in PvE on downed anyway. It lets you get around the battlefield, which is really good to jump in water or move out of range a lot better. Okay, and now he's bugged. It often happens that he becomes bugged, and so he doesn't do anything. I don't know what you want to do at that point. We just decide to nuke him as fast as possible. You know, what can you do? It's fun. You fight him a lot, so you kind of understand the fight. So it's nice to have just a nuking section. I like it. But after you kill him, you have to kill all these little oozes, and then he should be gone for good. Now, the main thing I don't understand about this this whole instance as a whole is you came in here, and then suddenly your whole option is just how do you escape. You didn't come in here for any reason other than to escape. Okay, and the last boss you'll fight is the Evolved Destroyer. Now, this one looks complicated, doesn't it? And it's not that complicated. Okay, so the main premise is there's a boss on a platform in the middle, surrounded by lava. And this platform has a shield, a bubble, if you will, and it's impervious to damage. The bubble has a health bar also, which is displayed in the top right when you're playing, and it regenerates. Now, there's 3 cannons around the top area of the room, and you need to fire these 3 cannons at the same time to destroy the bubble. And the bubble will be down for about 10 to 15 seconds, and then it'll start to fade back in, pushing all the people on the platform into the lava. Okay, so when it starts to fade back in, you got a bit of time, but then you want to leave. Now, there's 3 platforms that lead down to the boss platform. There's 3 on each sort of side of the room. Now, what happens is a Dragon's Tooth fire AoE rotates through these 3 platforms. So you want to time your jumps down the stairs. So when you get down there, there should be enough time for you to do some damage and then leave. Now, when you do leave, you want to use the stairs to the left and right to go back up to the top. Get ready to use the cannons. The strategies you can use is to use the cannons and jump down on the platforms in a timely way, and then attack, and then when the shield's about to come back on, use the stairs to retreat and then repeat. Or you can have 3 players stay at the cannons at all times and 2 people attack the boss. Now there is a tiny space here and there between the platform bubble and the lava, so you can wait there so you're not in the lava while the shield is up. Okay, I found that very boring, but it is the easiest way. As a little tip, rangers may be able to attack the boss from the cannons with a longbow because it's got longer range than everyone else, and other ranged players can reach the boss from the stairs. So if you run to the stairs, the top or the middle of the stairs, you can reach the boss, so that's a good thing to note. Okay, so I've brought you in a bit down because this strategy is very boring and it takes a long time, so I'm just going to go over a little bit. We've used the cannons and then the people are attacking, and as you can see the shield is already up. It doesn't last very long at all. He's waiting on the edge, so he's not in the lava, and we've used the cannons again, and you get a little bit of time and then it's back into there. Hit the boss. He seems to have a fire shield, does a dragon's tooth of his own, and he's getting pushed out again. I think he's in the lava. Okay, he's survived, he's not on the lava. Use the shield again, and it's just kind of the same thing. I got a bit thing, that's as far as I can reach, is that big, and that's my large AoE. So at this particular point we didn't know about the stairs, but you can use the stairs, it does reach. I checked it at the end. So basically, if you choose this particular strategy, which is what we did at this instance, I would prefer to do the other one because it makes it a bit more fun. But 2 people down there try and revive each other, it makes sense. So this is how I jump down now to revive using my signet. I don't think they needed me though. So towards the end I started to get a bit bored, admittedly, so I tried to do it the way I think it was intended to do. Time my jumps from these dragon things. You can tell the dragon things are coming down because the platform flashes. So I'll do some damage here, and then I start to jump back. It's really hard to jump back up, so then you use the stairs, and then it's back onto the cannons. Now here I am at the top of the stairs, and there's the boss dead in the middle. And here you can see I can reach the middle. If I move forward a little bit more, I should be able to reach the middle with my AoEs. So that's a good strategy, I think, if you've got people on the cannons, to run to the stairs. And so that's it. You've got to fight Subject Alpha again, and then you'll have completed Route 3, the front door, and hopefully the entire dungeon, Crucible of Eternity. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed my guide. I enjoyed the dungeon and my guide. Thank you for listening. I've been King Blacktooth.